Hi, I'm going to run you through some annotations, just quickly going through this article so that you're able to see my process as I'm reading it and taking down my notes. So I have already read this through once, made no notes, just a cold read, and from that I've been able to ascertain the overall contention. So this writer, Janet Albrechtsen, is certainly anti the contact tracing app, as is pretty self-evident from her headline, Why I Won't Be Signing Up to the PM's Contact Tracing App. And she's got a pretty angry, sarcastic tone throughout. So she's not a happy chappy. So I'm going to just go through here, make some notes, and this should help guide you as you do the same. Okay, so the first thing that's jumping out to me is the headline. So we've got a pretty clear contention, and it's written kind of as if it's self-evident, like why I won't be signing up. She's not asking the question, she's stating a fact. So sounds like a statement of fact. Mine's already made up. She's not trying to she's just communicating information to us. These are the reasons why I'm not doing it, and that's quite effective. It's strong because it seems like a pretty firm list of reasons for why she wouldn't do it. The other thing that I get is this image. So you have to reference the image when it's included, otherwise you will lose marks from the examiners. Okay, so what am I seeing here? I'm seeing a pretty sad looking PM, and I'm seeing a spotlight being shone. And so I'm getting the impression here that he's kind of analyzing all this data. So we've got image is an attack on PM, shining a spotlight on data. People's privacy is on display. So his data is getting shone up like a beacon, like anyone could read it. So it's a danger. And note here, both in the image, we've got this caricature of Scott Morrison, and in the headline, it's the PM's contact tracing app. So it's very targeted towards Scott Morrison, that he is mishandling this. I won't be signing up to Morrison government's COVID-19 tracing app. See again, it's this statement. There are simply too many reasons to be too many to be dubious of Prime Minister's Plan A, as he called it last Friday. She's scathing critique. She's listing, or she's about to list reasons, so it becomes like this overwhelming reasons as to why we shouldn't be doing it. Scott Morrison tweeted that the contact tracing app is voluntary. But how voluntary is it when the federal government is essentially holding a gun to our heads, a gun marked Plan A? Get the clause out, Janet Albrechtsen. All right, so let's go back here. We're going to highlight that. We're going to add a review. So we've got an attack. And it's also an exaggeration. And it's also a metaphor. But the main thing that we're getting out of this is anger. Feels threatened by government. Now we know that culturally Australians value freedom, And so being forced to do something is goes against our culture. So goes against Aussie culture. Okay, and this is supposed to feel uncomfortable for the audience. Unless at least 40% of you sign up to the app, we won't consider releasing you from home detention in 4 weeks. Home detention. And then look at this, we, you. Okay, so this is really interesting. So we've got an us versus them argument. So the government is laying down orders and the community is being forced to comply. And again, this is extremely uncomfortable for Australians. Okay, so we're supposed to be feeling angry about this. It's a threat. And look at the language, home detention. So we know the connotations of a detention centre. So of detention. So it becomes the denial of human rights. So I'm able to read into through my knowledge or cultural knowledge of Australians and through my cultural knowledge of the idea of detention in Australia, I'm able to draw this idea that we're being kind of strong-armed by the government and denied our human rights unless we comply with what they're saying. Right now, my answer to the Prime Minister's heavy-handed request is no thanks. What's plan B? So we've got a bit of sarcasm and it's an outright rejection of his I'll just go of the app. And she sounds quite nice. She sounds reasonable. The government doesn't sound reasonable here. Versus the government's unreasonable demands. He's saying, you do this or I won't let you out. And she's saying, no, thank you. What else have you got on offer? So it's all through this kind of sarcastic tone. Sorry, there was a bird. Okay. The biggest hurdle to the Prime Minister's Plan A, so the biggest hurdle, and the federal government have shown that they don't trust the Australian people, and so many Australians might not be inclined to trust the government about this. Look at that word, trust. Core value. And if we don't feel trusted, why should we trust them? Where previously Australians were wrapped in endless, often nonsensical red tape, they are now wrapped in blue and white police tape too. So this is an attack on government, and it's an attack on how kind of inefficient government actually is. Local councils trust us even less. Some outdoor spaces literally look like scenes from a Law and Order, where police mark off a location thought to be the killing grounds of a serial murderer. So we've kind of got we've got imagery and kind of like dark humor in a way. So the author here is trying to relate to the audience, and she's doing this to highlight the absurdity, which I can't spell right now, of government protocols. She's like exaggerating how ridiculous the government is acting. The ubiquitous blue and white tape in our lives today has nothing to do with anything so grisly. It's simply because local, state, and federal governments don't trust us. Okay, simply because they don't trust us. So again, we're getting to this idea of trust. I didn't mean to underline that. So it's nothing fun, like not fun. It's nothing grisly. It's nothing to kind of get excited about. It's just that we're not trusted. In some parts of Australia, we can look at this repetition. So here, I think you would have to in your essay talk about the repeated use of trust. And you would need to outline why trust is such a big deal. In some parts of Australia, we can't be trusted. And look at the we, inclusive. So the author is positioning herself as one of us. We can't be trusted to sit on a park bench or go for a swim in the ocean or play golf or go fishing. We can't be trusted to be outside our homes, and that is for one of the 4 reasons nominated by state and federal governments. Look at this, is all just a list. Lists the rules, and that's emphasizing it. Emphasizing the lack of trust and the kind of, and how overbearing the government is. The second reason, so this is another listing reason, another listing technique, so that we know that she's got not one reason, she's got a second reason, and later we're going to see she has a third reason. So by doing that, it's highly logical, and it makes it, again, it's like stacking up all the evidence so that we're more inclined to agree. The second reason to question Morrison's government's plan A goes to feasibility. So here's another reason, and here she's just saying it's not going to work. After being pressured into offering people some hope about the future and sharing their plan to reopen the country, the coalition set down 3 criteria before the government will consider easing restrictions. The government says the enhanced tracing means at least 40% of Australians must sign on to the COVID-19 contact tracing app. So we've got statistic. This high bar raises an obvious question. So it's a no-brainer. If a one-party state such as Singapore, where dissent is not on the political menu, has managed a take-up rate for its contact tracing app of only 20 to 25%, why would the Morrison government set up a metric that appears unachievable in a free country such as Australia? Okay, and we've got a comparison. All right, so here she's just trying to make a seemingly obvious point. She wants it to seem obvious that it won't work in Australia, and she has the comparison, compares to Singapore. Is it to bunker down but buy time to work out a more realistic plan B? So a more realistic bunker down. So she's saying that, like, you know, they need to get to business. This is crap. Despite the government's new 3-fold criteria, we are still in the dark with goalposts that either keep moving or disappear entirely. We are still in the dark. Goalposts, so that this is the confusion. Confusion, and this is unfair. All right, I'm going to stop here. I'll make another video because my time's going to run out where I'll finish off the articles. So just click onto the next video and you'll be able to do that.